SpaceX has risen through the years to become an integral part of the space exploration movement. Elon Musk may still be a little far away from his endgame for the company, but he's well on his way to completely selling the dream of space utilization and Martian colonization to the world. That has brought in an abundance of investment interest. Individuals, private equity firms, and sovereign wealth funds all want a slice of that SpaceX pie. If you find yourself among those who want to invest, then you might be wondering how you could do so before everybody else. Well, if you want to find out, make sure you stay until the end of this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Before we dive right in, we must do a quick backstory of how SpaceX became the most popular pre-IPO tech company in the world. The company first began as a project to grow plants on Mars. Musk actually called it Mars Oasis. Efforts to buy spaceships were thwarted because of how expensive they were. It was in 2002 that Musk and his partners then decided to produce the ships on their own, as it was actually a lower cost venture. As of March 2018, the corporation had held over 100 launches, representing approximately $12 billion in contract revenue. The contracts included government and commercial customers. Its principal competitors in the commercial launch are the International Launch Services, United Launch Alliance, and Arianespace. Currently, SpaceX is a market leader in the global retail launch provider, as measured by manifested launches. Remarkably, under a partnership with NASA, SpaceX has flown over 20 resupply missions to the ISS. In 2011, NASA also gifted SpaceX a development contract aimed at developing and demonstrating a human-rated Dragon. A key innovation is the company's reusable rocket boosters, which can be flown as many as 10 times. The company's Falcon 9 spacecraft cost $62 million to book, while a mission using the Falcon Heavy cost $90 million. As a private company, SpaceX is free from the restrictions associated with the government bureaucracy that normally plagues organizations such as NASA. This allows Musk to improve and move with amazing speed, rapidly creating parts and equipment, securing launchpad sites, and hiring employees from competing companies and universities. Falcon 9's flight number 69 in March 2019 was the first private company to send a human spacecraft to space and independently dock a spacecraft to the International Space Station. This was a really impressive achievement for them, and it won SpaceX many other governmental contracts. One thing everybody watching has wondered is if the currently private company will ever go public. Some of Musk's successful ventures, including Tesla and PayPal, have actually already gone public, and they've attracted a massive amount of attention. Some traders told CNBC that they remain resolute that an IPO will take place, even if it's far-fetched. For other investors, the idea of SpaceX engaging in an IPO often crosses their minds. Such sentiments express the confidence that some people have disregarded that trade. They provide a rationale for it by stating that bankers would line up to champion the deal and the IPO would witness a case of oversubscription. In previous statements, Musk has indicated that SpaceX will remain private, possibly until its Mars Colonial Transporter has made fruitful efforts to transport passengers between Earth and Mars. This business guru perceives that an IPO can hinder the firm's long-term objectives about stakeholders' expectations. In a nutshell, the company is not in any hurry to abandon private life. There are some reasons why SpaceX may want to remain private. Unique to the story of SpaceX is the company's government contracts, which Musk is likely to want to keep. A public offering for the broader company could deter the security of future government contracts, though the necessity of NASA outsourcing may override a decision to turn away from SpaceX due to a public offering. By operating privately, SpaceX is free from the burdens of transparency and shareholder claims. He can do as he wants, when he wants, to promote the company's goals. However, considering that the presence of Boeing as a publicly traded company has not prevented the US government from making use of the company's technologies and services, Musk may need to do a reassessment. If the company ever were to go public, its stocks would be quite valuable because of how much funding it has already received. Even now, its private investors pay good money for SpaceX shares. From the onset, SpaceX has raised more than $2 billion in funding. Also, its booming coffers have generated significant growth in the firm's stock price and valuation. The Wall Street Journal reported that SpaceX is selling new shares that are worth $500 million to its private investors at a cost of $186 per share. According to my knowledge, this is the first instance that SpaceX has ever divulged adequate information related to its capital structure that could underpin its share price. accurate share count and market capitalization on its stock. This is a great opportunity to just pass by, and luckily there are loopholes for people who don't meet the standards the company set for its investors. So, what are the criteria for investors? Even though this is not the easiest route, one way to secure SpaceX stock is by being an employee of the company. Employees of SpaceX are given the option to receive some of their paychecks as stocks instead of cash. Some early employees that were around at the company's start have actually become millionaires already due to the stock price going up so much, despite the company still being private. Other than being an employee, you have to be an accredited investor to be able to participate in the private investment market. You can forget about investing in SpaceX stock directly if your fortune is less than $1 million, or if you don't earn more than $200,000 annually. Also, you need to be sophisticated, which means you've got professional knowledge and experience to qualify as an accredited investor. That's why if you open the Robinhood or Webull app and search for SpaceX stock, the search won't find anything. You can't even buy the stocks through your regular broker. An individual wanting to invest in SpaceX has limited options if they aren't an accredited investor. For ordinary investors, the viable route to getting exposure to SpaceX as an investment is through a fund or publicly traded company that owns SpaceX shares. Financial services such as Fidelity Investments and Google parent Alphabet are the two notable entities that have invested in SpaceX. Before them, in 2008, Founders Fund, a San Francisco venture capital firm, invested $29 million, a move that has since benefited the investors' team. Then in 2012, DFJ, another venture capital firm, committed $30 million in exchange for a share of the SpaceX stock pie. It was later in 2015 when Fidelity and Google saw value in buying a stake in SpaceX. The two companies collectively signed a deal that pushed SpaceX to value $10 billion. The investment gave Fidelity and Alphabet a combined stake of about 10% in SpaceX stock. This funding was geared towards financing the emerging satellite business that SpaceX anticipated would develop a unique global communication system. This idea was to position a network of hundreds of satellites into orbit with the aim of connecting future inhabitants of Mars and everyone on Earth to the web. Fidelity also participated in a 2020 SpaceX investment round that raised about $2 billion for the space venture. Because Fidelity runs a portfolio of funds that invest in public and private stocks, investors shopping for SpaceX stock can gain exposure to the space company indirectly through Fidelity mutual funds. You can buy mutual funds through investment apps that offer them alongside other securities. However, when investing in mutual funds, you must be aware of the costs, as the expense ratio usually applies to fund investments. A handful of these funds charge a load of fees when you buy or sell their shares. Alphabet also owned an estimated 7.5% of SpaceX stock following its joint investment with Fidelity in the space company in 2015. It is unclear whether subsequent funding rounds have diluted Alphabet's SpaceX holding. SpaceX's valuation has soared from $10 billion at the time of Alphabet's investment to $46 billion after the 2020 funding round, which means that Alphabet's holding has appreciated. Investors can also gain exposure to SpaceX directly through Alphabet stock. Besides Fidelity and Alphabet, other SpaceX investors include Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, Valor Equity Partners, and Baillie Gifford. Thiel and Fidelity also invested in Facebook when it was still a private company. Finally, platforms like Forge Global and EquityZen enable investors to purchase pre-IPO stocks from insiders like employees who receive a stock award as a part of their compensation. These platforms may be an option for investors shopping for SpaceX stock. Right now, Musk seems reluctant to take SpaceX public. SpaceX remains a young space company, one that is not immune from financial pressures. In January 2019, it had to cut 10% of its workforce, bringing the total headcount to 6,400 employees. Nevertheless, if the company reaches its historical goal of a crewed mission to Mars, then Musk will have created yet another amazing success story. In the meantime, the company is more concerned with attaining more government contracts and successful launches. Musk seems to have done a tremendous job through his company with the funding that they've received. Looking at the growth from SpaceX's inception till recently, you see a great increase. Do you think more increases could come through a public offering? Should Musk keep his company private and just keep working as he does? Let us know what you think in the comment section. The two automobile giants are partnering. Toyota is bringing its wealth of experience and teaming up with the top electric car brand, Tesla. Toyota sold over 9 million vehicles last year, but Tesla boasts of the higher industry market value. Toyota has been in the business of producing cars for decades, and only recently announced its branch for creating electric cars. It seems like they've got it all together. What then is the basis of their partnership with Tesla? Stay with this video until the end to find out, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The official report about this partnership was broken by a reputable Japanese news site called Gosen Ilbo. It appears that the partnership between Tesla and Toyota has been in the works since last year, and is only just gaining worldwide speculation. This comes just as the partnership approaches its final stage. The major highlight of this partnership is that both companies may work together to produce a very affordable electric vehicle. The vehicle may cost as low as half the price of a regular electric vehicle. Toyota is set to provide the vehicle platform, which is the outer framework to Tesla. In return, Tesla will deliver some of the electronic control platform and software technology installed in its vehicle to Toyota. Toyota cars have earned a global reputation of ruggedness, while Tesla has quickly worked out a niche of ever-developing battery strength. Sounds like a perfect match. When the agreement with Tesla is established, Tesla will be largely able to dispatch a compact SUV electric vehicle at a very low cost, using the Toyota platform. It is expected that this partnership will also give Tesla an increased presence in Japan, so that it can sell more than the 1,000 units per year it was previously selling. At Battery Day in 2020, Tesla first mentioned their plans for a competent $25,000 passenger vehicle. Elon Musk said that he wanted to do something radical like the Cybertruck. He described what he had in mind as being something that would shock the world. He was confident that the mystery car would be compelling and would fit into the goal of affordability while still being fully autonomous. He calculated that it would take a short 3 years to bring the new vehicle to the market, going as far as specifically mentioning September 2023. We also know from Battery Day that its batteries will be lithium iron phosphate ones, the least dense and the cheapest battery type. This battery is one of the main contributors to the car's affordable price, and it should give the car 200 to 250 miles of range. We also know that Tesla's battery suppliers have a $6 billion investment in lithium-ion projects, and have already started impacting the Model 3 in China. The proposed new model will first be offered in China before it makes its way down to the USA. If by then the new EV tax credit bill gets passed, the car could then get a price reduction to a ridiculous $19,000. If the government passes the Green Act bill, it would allow for $7,000 in tax credits for 400,000 Tesla vehicles. This would only happen if the new Model 2 hits US shores, with the new tax credits in place. For this, we have to be optimistic that the Model 2 really does get produced ahead of schedule. The Model 2 at this price will be a huge hit in the gas hatchback market, because that's the price range of the more popular gas cars. Even if the Green Act tax credit does not get passed for EV manufacturers in the US, the car would be $25,000, and it would still be a sweet alternative to the more popular gas cars around that price range that have been discontinued, like the Honda Fit and the Toyota Yaris. Keep in mind that the base Model 2 will only offer the essentials and minimal services. Any additional service would have to be paid for separately. Things like full self-driving software and a different paint color fall right under the additional service bracket. The company's signature drivetrain, safety standards, and battery efficiency will most likely be uncompromised in the new model. Add the capacity of over-the-air updates and the capability for full autonomy, and you realize just how great this vehicle is. The problem with that plan, however, is that among experts, there are several opinions that will be difficult for Tesla to find a way to sell electric cars at such a low price. This is particularly worth noting, especially when you consider that Tesla has already developed the Model 3 in 2017, the Model Electric crossover in 2020, the exoskeleton of the Cybertruck, and is currently working on the semi-truck. After Battery Day, we have had no clear confirmation of Tesla's affordable compact vehicle, but if reports of this partnership are true, it now looks like it may be purchased and may be produced in partnership with Toyota. This car would not be the first one Tesla and Toyota are building together. Back in 2012, an electric version of the Toyota RAV4 was the product of the first partnership with them. This came after Toyota bought a $50 million stake in Tesla. Sadly, the car sold less than 2,500 units in 3 years. After many disagreements and culture clashes, the car was discontinued. Tesla can also significantly reduce the resources and time spent on the innovation of its vehicle's integrated electronic control platform and operating system by using Tesla technology. In other words, through cooperation between the two companies, Tesla can reduce the cost and period of developing small electric SUVs, and Toyota's benefit is the gain of ECU and OS development. It aims for a win-win effect by reducing the time it takes for the two companies to compensate for each other's weaknesses, allowing them to focus more on their own strengths. With the fact that both companies have attempted this before and failed, there may be rising concerns in the automobile industry. Their 2010 partnership came to a complete end in 2017. The Japanese auto giant quietly sold off its stake in the US electric car maker, which was what ended a 6-year partnership between the two companies. The stake sale firmly established Toyota Motors as a rival to Tesla. A Japanese auto analysis at Credit Suisse said, Toyota originally had a strong cutting-edge reputation with its hybrid electric vehicles, Akita said. But now the market considers them as a follower in the electric vehicles business, and maybe Tesla the leader in terms of brand image or reputation. Now, Toyota needs to recover its previous position. Toyota and Tesla first announced their alliance back in May 2010, which was about 1 month before Tesla's original public offering. At the time the two companies struck that deal, already established automakers were seeking to make more environmentally friendly vehicle models. This deal was supposed to give both companies an edge. As part of that deal, Toyota agreed to buy $50 million worth of Tesla stocks, and the two companies agreed to cooperate on electric vehicles, hence the failed Toyota RAV4. Tesla has developed beyond being the testbed for interesting electric vehicle technologies to becoming a fully fledged competitor of traditional automakers in the electric vehicle space, said James Chow, Asia Pacific Managing Director for consultancy IHS Automotive. He also said that it makes sense that Toyota is distancing themselves from Tesla. This was said in light of Tesla and Toyota's fallout. According to a financial report published back in 2017, Toyota had 2.3 million shares in Tesla as of March 2016. They valued the stake at the time at roughly $538 million. For most of 2016, Tesla's shares traded at more than 10 times their 2010 IPO price of $17, which must have given Toyota a lot of gain at their point of selling shares. Despite this end in the company's alliance, the close reputation between Elon Musk and Toyota CEO Akio Toyoda was maintained, which left room for a reunion between the two companies in the future. Tesla has Fremont Gigafactory, which is an automobile manufacturing plant in Fremont, California, operated by Tesla. Interestingly, the facility first opened as the General Motors Fremont Assembly in 1962 and was later operated by NUMMI, a former GM-Toyota joint venture. Tesla took ownership of the space in 2010. This shows how interconnected both companies are. Meanwhile, Tesla CEO Elon Musk wrote on Twitter on the 27th of March that the likelihood that Tesla will soon become the largest company in the world is higher than 0%. Although the context is not clear, it was also written, probably within a few months, an expression that can be interpreted as referring to a period, and was soon deleted. Currently, Tesla's market capitalization is around $700 billion, which is 1/3 of the world's largest market capitalization company, Apple. Tesla's share price continued to rise even after surpassing Toyota, which was the first in the industry's market capitalization at the time, in July of last year. Tesla in particular has a task to achieve economies of scale, with only 500,000 vehicles sold as of last year. If the alliance with Toyota is established, it can receive great power to expand mass production faster and at a lower cost. Putting all this together, we see that this partnership will become the most valuable deal both companies have entered, on paper that is. Will this alliance stand the test of time? Will this be their lucky break? Let us know what you think in the comment section. NASA recently awarded Elon Musk's space company SpaceX a $2.9 billion contract for the building of a spacecraft that will bring astronauts to the moon as early as 2024. NASA picked SpaceX for this project over Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin and defense contractor Dynetics Inc. In this video, we're going to be exploring what NASA plans to do with SpaceX and why SpaceX was chosen for this big task. Subscribe and leave a comment below saying, "I subscribed," and I'll personally reply to your comment. Now, let's get right into the video. The US Space Agency awarded the contract for the first commercial human leader, part of its Artemis program. The lander is expected to take 2 astronauts to the surface of the moon by 2024. After the announcement, Musk tweeted, "NASA rules." We should accomplish the next landing as soon as possible, Steve Jersky, NASA's acting administrator, said during the video conference announcement. If they hit their milestones, we have a shot at 2024, Jersky added. NASA said SpaceX's Starship includes a spacious cabin and 2 airlocks for astronaut moonwalks, and that its architecture is intended to evolve to a fully reusable launch and landing system designed for travel to the Moon, Mars, and other destinations in space. SpaceX also responded on Twitter, writing, "We are humbled to help at NASA Artemis usher in a new era of human space exploration. NASA is getting ready to be on the Moon for a long time, unlike the Apollo missions. The agency sees this new mission as the precursor to a more ambitious plan to send astronauts to Mars. NASA now relies on private companies built around shared visions for space exploration. SpaceX will have to make a test flight of the lander to the Moon before humans make the journey," NASA official Lisa Watson-Morgan told reporters. The expectation was that NASA was going to work on this project with 2 other companies, but instead, it picked only SpaceX. "We have to be able to provide for recurring lunar services," says Mark Kirasich, Deputy Associate Administrator for NASA's Advanced Exploration Systems Division. "One of the reasons was that SpaceX was an answer to what's the best value to the government," said Kathy Ludes, Associate Administrator for NASA's Human Exploration and Operations Mission Directorate. NASA said in a news release that SpaceX's HLS Starship, designed to land on the Moon, leans on the company's tested Raptor engines and flight heritage of the Falcon and Dragon vehicles. NASA's decision was a setback for Bezos, a lifelong space enthusiast who is now more focused on his space venture after having announced in February he would step down as Amazon CEO. Bezos and his other executives saw this contract as very important to Blue Origin establishing itself as a desired partner for NASA, and also putting the venture on the board to turning a profit. Musk has outlined an ambitious agenda for SpaceX and its reusable rockets, including landing humans on Mars. Recently, SpaceX's main business has been launching satellites for Musk's Starlink internet venture, and other satellites and space cargo. SpaceX announced on Wednesday it had raised about $1.16 billion in equity financing. NASA is getting ready to send astronauts to explore more of the Moon as part of the Artemis program. The development of the first commercial human lander will safely carry the next 2 American astronauts to the lunar surface. One of these astronauts will make history as the first woman on the Moon. Another goal of the Artemis program includes landing the first person of color on the lunar surface. The agency's powerful Space Launch System rocket will launch 4 astronauts aboard the Origin spacecraft for their multi-day journey to lunar orbit. There, 2 crew members will transfer to the SpaceX Human Landing System, HLS, for the final leg of their journey to the surface of the Moon. After approximately a week exploring the surface, they will board the lander for their short trip back to orbit, where they will return to Orion and their colleagues before heading back to Earth. The firm fixed price, milestone-based contract total award value is $2.89 billion. With this award, NASA and our partners will complete the first crewed demonstration mission to the surface of the Moon in the 21st century, as the agency takes a step forward for women's equality and long-term deep space exploration, said Kathy Ludes, NASA's Associate Administrator for Human Explorations and Operations Mission Directorate. This critical step puts humanity on a path to sustainable lunar exploration and keeps our eyes on missions farther into the solar system, including Mars. SpaceX has been working closely with NASA experts during the HLS base period of performance to work on the design of the lander and ensure it meets NASA's performance requirements and human spaceflight standards. These standards range from areas of engineering, safety, health, and medical technical areas. This is an exciting time for NASA and especially the Artemis team, said Lisa Watson-Morgan. During the Apollo program, we proved that it's possible to do the seemingly impossible, land humans on the Moon. By taking a collaborative approach in working with industry while leveraging NASA's proven technical expertise and capabilities, we will return American astronauts to the Moon's surface once again, this time to explore new areas for longer periods of time. Starship has a spacious cabin and 2 airlocks for astronaut moonwalks. The Starship architecture is intended to evolve to a fully reusable launch and landing system designed for travel to the Moon, Mars, and other destinations. The HLS award is made under the Next Space Technologies for Exploration Partnerships. Next, Step 2, Appendix H, Broad Agency Announcement, BAA. Elon Musk's SpaceX bid for the contract alone, while Bezos Blue Origin partnered with Lockheed Martin Corp., Northrop Grumman Corp., and Draper. Dynetics is a unit of Leidos Holdings Inc. The national team led by Blue Origin and the proposal from Dynetics were not selected for Option A award because of a combination of lower technical ratings and constraints with their budgets. Both designs had their own specific strengths. For example, Blue Origin's Ascent element was powered by 3 engines, but was operable under only 2 in an engine-out scenario. This, combined with the ability to separate elements, offered additional abort and contingency capabilities. The Dynetics symbol stage design was also of good merit, with a low-to-the-surface crew module. However, there were some weaknesses in the designs that overshadowed the strengths. Immature propulsion and communication systems, along with concern about third-party suppliers, create serious doubt as to the realism of Blue Origin's proposed development schedule. NASA also expressed concern about crew scheduling, citing long crew days during descent and ascent to and from the lunar surface. This included a requirement for an EVA before liftoff in order to jettison materials to reduce the mass of the ascent element. Blue Origin's notional plan for evolving their HLS design into a more sustainable architecture called for significant redesigns, including a resized Ascent element and a complete structure redesign, and BE-7 engine upgrade for the Descent element. NASA acknowledged that Blue Origin was effectively making use of the experiences of national team partners at Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Draper. While this approach takes advantage of technical expertise, it is not very cost-effective. This is similar to another weakness identified by NASA, as Blue Origin did not provide a comprehensive plan to operate their vehicle commercially. Origin revealed their Blue Moon program, from which their HLS descent element is based, as a commercial uncrewed and crewed lander before the HLS solicitation. Blue Moon is also an eligible CLPS vehicle. It is possible that a vehicle developed entirely by Blue Origin rather than the national team would be proposed for future missions and be easily adapted to commercialization. Apart from the technical evaluation of Blue Origin's design, the proposal was disqualified because of the requirements for advanced payments by the company. Blue Origin proposed 2 kickoff meeting-related payments that would need to be eliminated through negotiations, and a revised proposal to comply with the HLS solicitation. Since NASA still wants to operate multiple lunar landers, plans are in the works to create a program for recurring missions to the surface, with the ability to on-ramp new vehicles in the future. While SpaceX will be well positioned for these missions, following the 2 demonstration missions now on contract, providers such as Blue Origin, Dynetics, or new entrants could rejoin the Artemis program for recurring missions. This is very likely due to NASA's positive assessment of Dynetics' strong plan for commercialization. Weaknesses of the Dynetics proposal were mostly technical, including serious mass growth concerns and problems with the demonstration mission schedule. Dynetics now has more time to address the technical concerns as development continues and could be positioned for lunar missions in the future, either with NASA under Artemis or with commercial customers. Even for SpaceX's HLS design that is now to be done in partnership with NASA, significant work remains to be done before humanity's return to the surface of the moon. A rigorous test campaign is already underway, and Starship is in the position to begin what will hopefully become a permanent human presence in deep space, supported by additional vehicles in partnership with NASA, commercial companies, and international partners. What do you think this means for Elon Musk and his space company? Do you think that it will reduce how much SpaceX can do, or increase its productivity and innovation? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section, and thank you for watching this video. While you're still here, go ahead and click on one of these 2 videos on your screen. See you there!